because she cares and she knows how important this is. So I'm going to let Dr. Rodriguez say a few words. And
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
much. Perfect.
Anytime we have a possible loss of life of a child, then it impacts us deeply. It impacts the district deeply, and also not only our students, our staff, but their families. And so we're making sure that we have the supports in place so that people can process it and process it at the different speeds that they have. Something I will say, because I was just speaking with the family, is we still have hope. So we still have hope. We're not able to release his name at this very moment. We hope to soon. But what we'll say is we still have hope that he is out there, and he is just scared and not coming forward. And so we're going to keep that hope. The family is keeping that hope, and we're going to do the same. But alongside that, just really want to appreciate the Department of Public Safety and their quick action, and then the Sheriff's Department for all the work that they're doing. They're bringing in the latest technology so that if in fact we do have a passing, then we can make sure that the family has some closure to that. And so they're bringing in robots. We've had drones out there. They're bringing in additional technology as we speak so that we can try to figure out where in fact the student is. But again, we hope that that's not the case. Do want to make sure, as we told the family, I just want to make sure everyone knows whether it's a student here or a student elsewhere. He attended multiple schools in the district during his journey. And so if once you know and you need support, please have all students know that we have a mental health clinician in every one of our schools and a counselor in every one of our schools. And that includes parents too, and families too, that can have access to that. So we appreciate making sure that our families get correct, accurate information so that things are not changed into something that they're not. And let's all continue to hope that we are able to find the student and he's able to return back to his family. So thank you.
just to clarify, along the lines of what Dr. Rodriguez said about correct, accurate information, there was not a chase. Our school resource officer did not chase after the students. He was informed that they went towards the levee, and he went over there to try to identify the students, because again, there was a ski mask, and they weren't sure that they were even students. And so, Dr. Rodriguez has met with the family, and we are working with the family. And at this point, we are seeing if it would be helpful to identify him and give out his information in case he is somewhere and just kind of afraid of all the things that transpired. We don't know. And like Dr. Rodriguez says, there is still hope. We are very hopeful. All of us here at the Stockton Unified School District and the Stockton community are hopeful.
And you tried to identify the students here on campus, right? The resource officer was called to identify them here, right, on campus.
Right. So each one of our high schools has a school resource officer, and they are a true police officer, and he went to see if he could identify them.
Has any other student said anything about what the fight was for or about?
No, we don't have that information. It's part of the active investigation. And so at this point, it's still under investigation, and we don't have all the information or able to give that out at this time.
What grade level is the student in?
I could say
he's a ninth grader.
So he's 15 years old, and he's in ninth grade. And he was one of our independent study students. And what that is, they are a student here at Stagg, but they do a lot of their work independently at home, and they come and check in on campus weekly.
Once the SRO went over there to see if he could identify them, is that when they jumped in the water, when they saw the SRO?
We're not sure.
I guess in regards
Yes.
to it.
So this is Chief Myra Franco. She is in charge of all the SROs.
Correct. So the SRO was actually returning back to campus when he was advised of the two subjects leaving campus. So he went on the levee to try to make efforts to identify them, and he saw them in the middle island at that point, which means that they already had crossed the initial waterway on the levee.
So they got into the water to get to the middle part?
Correct.
So they had already been in the water before the SRO got there?
Correct.
Okay.
And then, how cold is the water? Is hypothermia a concern?
It definitely is a concern due to the weather conditions. I don't know exactly the temperature of the water, but we are keeping all concerns at this point from, the temperature of the water to the current speeds as well. So that's the circumstances that the SO is looking into to determine their search as well.
Is this area, does it have a lot of weeds under the water? Is that something he could have gotten caught up in?
It is a possibility.
How long is the stretch that you guys are looking into?
As I mentioned, the SO is using a calculation that they use as the waterway is within their jurisdiction. And so they're using everything from the water temperature to the speed of the current and the location where he was last seen to identify that area of search.
I've been hearing when it comes to river searches, when you have to comb through it, it can be quite taxing. Like there's a lot of elements that you guys have to deal with. There's a lot involved with it. Could you break down some of those things?
Actually, we're not too familiar with that. As the school district police department, we don't do a lot of river searches. So that would be more of an area that the sheriff's department is familiar with. As the superintendent mentioned, they are experts in that area, having their own boating unit, and they're taking all those factors into consideration at this time.
And we can say the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office did call in their boating unit, their professionals and their expertise in this area. They have also brought in SAR bots, which is underwater technology, to try to get a picture, try to get a good visual of what's under the water. And of course, anytime it's dark or anytime there's murky water, that is a challenge, but they're doing everything. They're doing everything they can, and they're active, and they've been out there all day yesterday, and they've been out there since this morning. And so right now, it's still considered a very active search and rescue.
Any indications that this person is not in the water? I know that the family is really helpful. Are there any signs that you guys think that this person is missing?
At this point, everything is a possibility. As they mentioned, they were seen going in but not out. We did locate one of the juveniles, so we are hopeful that, he made it out, and again, is just afraid to come forward. And so we're keeping all options at this point possible.
So just to be clear, your officer did see both of them at one point in the water?
Correct.
Okay.
Exiting the water, actually going into the shrubbery area.
Okay.
And so he went across the other way to try to, see if they came out the other way, but that's the point he lost eyesight with them as well, too.
So we will plan to have another update in about an hour, and if we are able to release his name and description, if that's going to be helpful, we're talking with other authorities. We will bring you that information, and then of course we'll have updates throughout the day, and our latest update we will have after 4, after consulting with the Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
Melinda, can we come to Dr. Rodriguez in Spanish?
Sí.
Thank you.
Muy bueno. Yeah, she speaks Spanish too.